This is for the invader. Sitting on the invader. All praises to the high. All praises to the most high. All praises to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Where the fuck am I going? Who the hell can I be? All time I've been lost. Been trapped in the sea. Chains holding my leg. I just wanna be free. Fist picking my throat. Hell yeah, they every tears keep going. You can see it in my phenotypes and that damn empty is showing. This knowledge keeping me steady. 45 on my hip and my ready. I hit the streets in my Chevy. Blunt burn, smell smoking heavy. Man, here you go, I got plenty. Prayers up for what's in it. In the land I love, cause every nigga ain't feeling. And every man ain't feeling. No D-bows but spelling. No heroes for my family. Why the pigs killing us daily. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, sitting on the invader. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, sitting on the invader. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Where the fuck you come from? Kidnapping my baby. 11 million abortions. Whole country is scorched. And stealing my fortune. Bitch, give me my land back. We signed no contracts. Why you wasting all of our trust funds? We don't know who your dad is, but we know who your kid is. Take food off of my plate. Eat that shit with my phone. Motherfucking invader. This is for the invader. Sitting on the invader. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Invader. This is for the invader. Sitting on the invader. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Hey yeah. Hey yeah. Hey yeah. All praises to the most high. All praises to the most high. All praises to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Invader. This is for the invader. Sitting on the invader. This is for the invader. Sitting on the invader. This is for the invader. Sitting on the invader. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. All praise to the most high. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Hey yeah. 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 Hey yeah.
Peace, peace, peace. This is the Thompsonist one. And shout out to all the Aborigines, North, South, Central, Conjoined Islands, as well as all the Aborigines throughout the world that's on the original territory. Which today that is kind of hard to find, because everywhere you go, it's like the fucking integration party and shit. Everywhere you go, and that's, pretty much, you gotta pretty much understand. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. For the most part, man, man, this shit get deeper and deeper, man. I mean, I don't think some of you guys want to know this shit, because you're gonna start finding out these connections is for real, and we are actually living a fucking nightmare. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, you motherfuckers, you always talk about the Freemasons. Yo, always Freemasons this. You gonna see how much influence the Freemasons had upon our culture and changing us into Negro and colors and classifying us the terms that they want. Because you can understand, I'm gonna tell you like this: when you all of these Freemason societies are all interconnection connected. The Anglo-Saxon society, the one with what's the guy name? Berkowitz, the other with the other nigga, the one made the evolution, I can't think of his name. All Darwin, other cousin, all of that shit is connected. And it's connected to what's the guy name, the one who changed the census in Virginia. I can't, Walter Plecker, but it happened before even Walter Plecker, because the people in Virginia they wasn't trying to really, they was like, they was still trying to live sovereign, but they, like, once they start putting you under these terms, these are classification that you are a citizen. So and once they enumerate you, you are enumerated in part of the corporation. So let's get into this, man. I got a lot to read. I got a couple pages I need to be done by at least 12 o'clock, which we never done on time. But for the most part, let's get into this. All right. Also support culture freedom and coaches of America. Black Indians documentary is on its way. Also, T-shirt spring app. If you like to it, put the link in the description. That's about it. All right, let's get with this. All right, so now listen. What I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna read through this. Right, we're gonna cross-reference this article right here with everything we already know from the last video. So for those of you who haven't seen the last video, I suggest you go back and check that video out. All right, or the last two videos, because you want to see what the connection is. Like we're gonna basically cross-reference this with everything we don't know. Thing that this article is not telling us, we already know from the book Slavery in Cherokee Nation. All right, so everything that they leaving out, we already know, and I'm gonna get to that. We're gonna read a little bit more into that, but I just want to give you guys to understand who the Knights of the Golden Circle is, so you'll know that Freddy Krueger is real. You understand what I'm saying? And you'll get you'll understand it. All right, I ain't, most of you guys have common sense. That's why you here. You know what I'm saying? And you question things when you hear it. So for the most part, this is going to be cross-reference. And remember, just read between the lines. All right. So it's political factions in the North. All right. Now this is basically talking about Civil War. I'm dealing with the Civil War right now. I'm dealing with all this shit right now because I find this the most intriguing, from 1775 until around maybe the 1900s, or for now we touching around 1861. All right, 18, around that time. But check this out. Check this out. And we know all the connections. All right. So all of the usual suspects are all involved. All of them. You're going to see all of them are all involved. All right. Now, I don't know. Most people say, oh, Lincoln didn't want to, whatever Lincoln did, because I'm not 100% sure on this. I'm not. I know the brief history about what they tell us, but this other history that we finding out is not the same as we've been told. And they leaving out a group of people. They leaving out the Indians. This shit was basically about Indians, man. All of it, man. That's why they created a lot of these secret societies too, man. And you think these secret societies wasn't in part of classifying you as color? You really think so? You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it. All right. So talking about the Civil War, talking about the Knights of Golden Circle, and we talking about that connection to the KKK. And then we're going to cross-reference that with some book. I'm going to read through Slavery in Cherokee Nation. This is a lengthy article, so I need to be done with this in a timely manner. So let's continue. All right, so we'll say political. Matter of fact, let me just make sure I'm being heard before I read all of it, and you guys cannot hear me. Press 1 if you guys can hear me. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I bet. All right, because you won't see that this shit right here is deeper than what you think it is, man. So let's get with this, man. Let me open this up. All right. Now this is from actually an article, right? And this article is labeled "Homegrown Terrorists," right? And I found this, and this is a Masonary coin. You notice it's a Brinkley in the middle of it, which he in the things that we read in dealing with the golden circle. All right, so all right, let's read through some of this because this is very interesting. All right, and that's how we gonna have to find it out because they're not gonna lay everything out to us so we can at least know who these people are. You in the golden circle had a hand up in the Cherokees and a hand up in the Confederates and dealing with the Aborigines that was also enslaved, and we keep telling you that's Africans or whatever, but these Aborigines were the people who was constantly in opposition to them of Western expansion. So once they released them, they knew that they will have to form societies to basically disenfranchise them from certain things. And now into 2019, I'm telling you, this shit is real. This shit is listen, you live in a conspiracy. Your life, if you are African in the United States, your history is a fucking conspiracy. I'm talking about like a movie. Think of a movie conspiracy, okay? And I'm telling you this just from being the person who doing the observation to this history, okay? And this is my interpretation of it. It's fucking conspiracy, bro. And I mean that literally. I ain't gotta say theory, conspiracy. All right. So now, look, political fractions in the North had clamored for a more punitive handling of the defeated South, that the moderate approach of President Abraham Lincoln, and after his assassination, President Andrew Jackson passed over Johnson's veto. No. Hold on, I'm sorry. President Andrew Johnson. All right, so it's a passed over Johnson veto. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 had granted citizens the same rights enjoyed by white male citizens to all male persons in the United States without distinction of race, color, or oppression of slavery or involuntary servitude. Okay? A lot of things you notice is involuntary. Even taxes is involuntary. Taxes only permitted during the time of wartime. But even though you are still an Indian, you are not taxed unless you are under their so-called government. All right. So now check this out. With their victory in 1866 midterm elections, radical Republicans in Congress further assumed responsibility for Reconstruction, effectively placing the entire South under military rule. Various freemen bureau bills had extended full legal protection to former slaves, okay, including rights to hold and inherit property. Look, why would they stop you the rights to inherit property? And establish free schools for black children, all backed up with military supervision and ensured those new rights. Saying, all right, so spring 1867, Congress had passed several additional Reconstruction acts that was anathema to the South, including the registration of the freemen to vote. out of all the elements of a forceful ordered Southern society, it was altered status of freemen that rubbed many in the South the most raw. While emancipation may have been tolerated, indeed, some planters welcome the passing of the slaveholding system. The elevation of the former slave to a position equal to whites could not be imagined. Now, look, could not be imagined. It's saying, let alone tolerated, as George Washington Gable pointed out in his 1890 The Negro Question. Emancipation had destroyed private, but it had no disturbed public subjugation. The ex-slave was not a free man; he was only a free Negro. Now remember, they're talking. We already know there's Indian slaves, okay? So we know this is how they fuck up stuff in history by putting a term on all these people when we already know it's Indian slaves and there's nothing they can do to cover it up. Okay, so you saying Negroes? So you saying that all the Indians was Negroes then? All right, so all right, it's saying, and that free Negro was now the competition of the lower status Southern whites for their very livelihood, wages, and land. Worse yet, the Southern perspective that the same freemen had joined the carpetbaggers and the scallywags in an unholy trinity act with Republicans rather than Democrats to further to extend the war victors. When coercion and intimidation, here we go. Now you say African American, but we want to continue to say Negroes because there's no reason to put the word African Americans if you use the word Negro. All right, with the 10 of Negroes did not work to restore conservative democratic power and relegate to their previous place in Southern society. Violence and terror became the tool of Southern secret societies. Political control. Secret fraternity societies have been part of the American experience since colonial time, inherited from European counterparts. Was the most famous of all the fraternal groups. See, Freemasons is a fraternity group. All these groups are Masonic. The ones you are in school, all of them, and famously counted among their members many of the founding fathers. Look, many of the founding, George Washington, um, Benjamin Franklin, James Monroe, John Hancock, among others, despite occasional conspiracy theory and public, in general public suspicion to contrary, there was not violent groups. All right, this is what they violent groups, but they was in. But George Washington clearly told them to go skin the Indians and skin their legs and use their legs as leggings. Okay, so he wasn't violent. It said nor was secret society exclusive, a pure view of whites, black fraternity. Here you go. You black fraternity. Remember, the Boule formed in the, look. Remember, after the Civil War in 1861 through 1865. The first Civil Rights Act us was in 1866. Okay, so from 1866 to 1900 was when they was really forming all of these secret societies. In the process, in probably around 1890, they now started recruiting blacks. But remember, Prince Hall was a Mason, and he got us to go the fucking Liberia. All right, so let's continue. All right, so now look. It's saying, it's saying black fraternity clubs are existed, but tended to take up the mutual aid society of the antebellum Grand United Order. Odd fella is saying make up of free blacks, saying all but disbanded during the war years. The old fellas did enjoy resurgent after the war and reconstruction, established lives in the South and in the West. And I'm saying, now remember, they never said, they said Prince Hall was a person of color. They're adding. See, they do this shit generously. Oh well, he's a person of color. Well, fuck it. Let's give him let's correct his status for him. Oh, he's now an African American. So he went from Indian to color to Negro to African American. All these terms can be used to you know what I'm saying, indiscriminately if you are ignorant to what the terms that are being applied. So it's saying the Prince Hall Masons, however, stand out among the black secret societies for taking the activities well beyond the mutual aid society into a realm of civil disobedience and aiding travelers and underground railroads, saying but white groups affected Southern society more directly. Okay, here we go. We get into what Knights of Golden Circle are. So it's saying, wow, the Knights of Golden Circle heyday was largely before the Civil War. Most of their members were all fighting once the war began. The role certain members played in the post-war incarnation made the group sufficiently in this theater of conflict as well. Founded in the 1850 George Washington Lafayette Brinkley in Connecticut. The Knights of the Golden Circle initially main purpose was to advance the interests of George Brinkley, a dedicated con man. He left a long string of failed ventures in his wake. He used the fake whiskers and disguise in his attempts to hide from angry creditors. It said his claims to hold a medical degree was unsubstantiated. It's saying one of the most telling aspects of the KGC recruitment was the membership levels available: $1 and $10 payable to President General of the American League. George Brinkley writes, mark a something they say secret society history of the Civil War. All right, so we getting into all right. So I'm saying marketing the KGC to his target audience to influence Southerners. Brinkley established his group as pro-South and pro-slavery, and grounds for denying memberships, including being a drunkard, professional gambler, rowdy, convict, felon, abolitionist, Negro, Indian, minor, idiot, or foreigner. Okay, it's saying in addition, now look, hold up. It's all right. So these are all the people they denying. Okay. All right. So and it's in addition, he truthed whatever a convenient interpretation of Christianity, particularly recognizing the special role he claimed the Lord has conveyed Anglo-Saxons and predominantly Southern males and fervent anti-Catholic Catholicism. KGC clubs were referred to as castles for many reasons, best known to Brinkley. It's saying before the war, the KGC involved in a quasi-military organization with a filibuster and fantasies and annexing an area from Mexico to Central and Southern America to Cuba and the Caribbean, the Golden Circle. Remember, we talked about the Golden Circle, y'all, all right? So the Golden Circle, so anytime you hit a Golden Circle, it was establishing from Mexico to Central and Southern America, Cuba, and the Caribbean. The Golden Circle from now, why they ain't go to Africa? Why the Golden Circle didn't go to Africa? Why they didn't have a chain? Why they talking about enslaving people there, but they not talking about anything dealing with Africa? Because the people who was trying to undermine these people, they was trying to send to Africa. You understand? So the people who was undermining them, they was trying to send them to Africa. All right. So let's continue. All right. All right, so we're talking about the Golden Circle. We're talking about where it extended from. All right, so it's saying despite the occasional skirmishes along the Mexico border, the KGC efforts to claim Mexico came to naught. Saying usually when some expected great force of reinforcement failed to appear, the group was always strongest in Texas, where Governor Sam Houston was rumored to be a member or least early on. During the war, the KGC, and you can see how this shit has something to do with the Alamo. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, shit these people was involved in the Alamo. Trust and believe that. They was involved in all of the things you can think of in the late 1800s and leading even to now. Okay? Even until now. Okay, all these secret societies are all controlled by the Freemasons. All of them. Even the ones in school and everything. They're all controlled by the Freemasons. It's facts. So Sam Houston, I guess that's where they got the city Houston from. All right, so during the war, the KGC members, Knights of Golden Circle, were on hand during the 1861 takeover of New Mexico territory under the Confederate Colonel John Baylor, as well as the 1862 New Mexico campaign under the Confederation Brigadier General Henry Hopkins Sibley. Neither adventure resulted in Confederates holding those areas for any significant length of time. Brinkley was a master at using the press. Look, using the press. He was a master at using the press to suggest that the KGC were far larger and more influential. It was, okay? Did that sound like something? Like I said, this is I'm not giving you. You guys let that shit marinate. Okay, let marinate. We talk about secret. We talking about one of a con man and a motherfucker who created the secret society or created this particular one. Okay, you see what he said. What he said was, let's go back. Let's find it again. He was a master of using the press, fake news. Okay, suggesting that the KGC was far larger and more influential than it was. Okay, don't you think they do that shit with numbers to this very day? You think they don't play with the number game like that, or even with the news, just in various ways of how they have people, how they control people emotions and have people listen. Let me tell you something. You can watch something on the news that'll make you sick and fuck your whole day up. You understand what I'm saying? And it happens through propaganda, man. Get the book Propaganda by the fuck is this motherfucker? Edward Bernays. Okay, you'll learn. All of this shit ain't nothing but a fucking real conspiracy, man. You being led by a bunch of con men, not just one con man. It's a bunch of people who can keep the fucking imaginary GDP going by creating gas fucking pyramid scam with the they do in prison people and use them for free labor, in which that's a form of slavery. They let other people come here from other fields and have these great lives. The American dream is not for the American Indian. It never have been, and it never will be. So understand that. Or you want to say, remember, my master Indian means savage or something like that, or what the fuck? The word Indian is not a word, you know what I'm saying? So we should try to stop using that though. But as far as American Aborigine, all right, we can definitely stay with that. Now, even though Aborigine not a group of people, at least it's showing people that you have a destination, that your destination is not Africa. There is other, you know what I'm saying, formalities that have to be learned with however you're trying to classify yourself. But like I said, there's other formalities that have to be taken. You know what I'm saying? Like we still learning right now, man. A lot of people didn't know they knew that they might have been Indians because somebody might have told them, but they didn't know to what aspect, man. They didn't know how deep this shit was. And that's why I try to tell people we all learning. I'm still learning. I'm learning as we go along. All right. So let's continue. All right. So we was talking about Brinkley using the press and suggesting that the KGB, the Knights of Golden Circle, the influential was bigger than what it was. It's saying planting stories in newspapers in the North and the South, exaggerating claims of membership numbers and activities. For that reason alone, the biggest impact in the Knights of Golden Circle was in fear. Was the fear it produced in the radical Republicans accused notable heads of being members, including former President Franklin Pierce, saying who angrily denied the accusation when Secretary of State William H. Seward informed him of the anonymous letter implicated him. The letter proved to be a hoax, which is bullshit. It wasn't a hoax. He really was in it. It's saying, but when it became public, anyway, pair correspondence on the matter was public to Seward embarrassment. All right. It's saying after a brief stint as the sergeant in the Confederate Army, Brinkley was captured in 1863 and incarcerated by Union troops and confiscated in a trunk of documents that was supposed indict legions of the Knights of the Golden Circle members. It's saying in the North. It's saying, but it did not. Rather than expose and symptoms the passing. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's saying the trunk contained merely exposed Brinkley. All right, so I say exposed them. All right, I'm just trying to get to the meat of this because I want to pretty much link this because we're gonna hear about Brinkley all through reading that book or all through like anything dealing with the Knights or dealing with any of these secret society groups. All right. So now if you know we're about to start getting some real, listen, you gotta understand something. Watch this shit, right? We're gonna start breaking some of this shit down for you. All right. So now look, it's the Golden Circle reorganized as the Order of American Knights. Now look, the Order of the American Knights later in 1863, and again in 1864, the Order of Sons of Liberty. All of these are white supremacy groups, man. All of these are, and like I said, whether the supremacy, inferiority, white degeneracy, okay, but their object and their mission statement is to be superior over you. Okay, so I'm just calling it, trying to be politically correct. All right. Where was we at? All right. All right. So it's hold up. My bad. Oh, all right. So it's right. We was right here. All right. The Son of Liberty. It's a prominent copperhead and former Ohio Congressman Clemens V. L. Vallandigham at fuck is this? Not bad, y'all. I always fucking call the same fucking people. It say it might be remembered that President Lincoln, now listen, in 1863 deported to South Carolina as an enemy alien after Vallandigham was convicted on publicly sympathizing with the Confederacy. Interesting, John Wilkes Booth and some fellow conspirators, along with Outlaw Jesse James, were members of the KGC. Okay, now listen, think of this, right? Why would a fucking outlaw be a member of the KGC? Why? Why? Hold up. But even back to what Brother Dick Gregory was saying, who Jesse James were, or Frank James. If you remember, who did he say Frank James was? Let me see. Let me see something. Yo, whoever can tell me who what's the name said James was, I'm gonna get a t-shirt. So it's the first comment that's up here. The first comment that's up here. If you tell me who who um who the elder Gregory Dick Gregory said that Frank James was. Who is Frank James' family today? Or Jesse James' family today? What are they known as? He said that they connected to the Knights of the Circle, which we already know exactly what that leads on to. So if anybody know in the chat room, just post it in the chat. Whoever get it, go to my t-shirt spring, take a picture of the shirt, and just email it to me, and I'll send it to you. Just make sure you email it to me, because I don't want to seem like I'm taking a long time. I need you guys to work with me as fast as you can. All right, so Bernays sent me for an effort. Yes, he is. Okay, all right. So can anybody answer that? I'm waiting. All right, you got. Oh, ho, Golden Moon. Okay. Golden Moon. Okay, you got it. Rockefeller. Okay, he said it, John. Okay, now you said it. Wait, Watson next, but he said it first though. He did. He said Rockefeller right here. Hold up, let me see. Who was that? All right, so Golden Moon. Okay, yeah, he said Rockefeller right here. Y'all can say it right here. And then Watson said it. And then Wordsworth, he said it. Hold up. He said Robin. All right. Yeah, okay. Well, no, Wolfpack said it. Okay, all right. So all right, so boom. So Golden Moon, go to my channel. Go to my t-shirt spring app, find a t-shirt, take a screenshot of it, and email it to me immediately so I faster, because it takes them a minute to send it. So send me your address and everything, and I'll send you the t-shirt, whatever t-shirt you want. All right, so let's get back into this. All right. So now you see how deep this shit is getting. All right. Oh, now, and remember, this story right here ain't even telling you all this is done with the Cherokees. All these prominent members are all up in the Cherokee. All these motherfuckers are claiming to be Cherokees. Now listen, let's continue. So look, one more time. Say, interestingly, John Wilkes Booth and some fellow conspirators, along with outlaw Jesse James, also were members of the KGC. Okay, now let's continue. All right. So now look, while activities of the KGC might have fanned post-war flames to other Southerners' secret societies, employed outright terror and violence to stroke the fire. Both the KKK, the Knights of the White Camellia, resolved to reverse the changes imposed on the South and return Southern society to pre-war order, especially when it came to white supremacy. So now you know why the fuck the KKK was chasing you off your fucking land, to take your fucking land, to give it to white expansion, man. Because that's what the beginning of the mission statement was. We're gonna go over here to America. We want to basically expand and create and move and take over the whole shit. And then in the process of it, we're gonna make the people our subjects. Okay. But once they freed the subjects was more cunning than them, because the subject had more skills than them, just like today. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know it though. You know what I'm saying? You need them. You need the little white man with the glasses, who ain't got no physical, no muscles or nothing. But according to him, because he's more scheming and conniving. What did they say Brinkley was? A con man. So he finding ways to connive or ways to manipulate things. That's what's called the con man. You got natural abilities. You might can jump fucking 100 feet in the air, but someone's going to come and manipulate that and use or market you in a way that can get paid and probably pay you peanuts on a dollar to what you really worth. And this is what world is. This is what the world is today. You know what I'm saying? People rush and run over here, and then they tell you to your face. They motherfucker tell you to your face, I'm only here to work. And then you look at them, you already know they're a loser. Because if it wasn't for white supremacy, you wouldn't have that cell phone. And I'm talking about for all immigrants that's here, okay? All. Okay. If it wasn't for white supremacy, you would have nothing. Okay. I mean, you would have probably what you had in your country originally, but to come here and benefit, you know, like I said, man, to it all, however we got it, we have allies of people who come here, but the overall majority people who come here, they come here for resources. When a lot of majority of people have resources in the country, they could have sat home and did nothing all long and watched the waterfall or watch the trees or watch the birds chirp and make these noises and shit, these beautiful parrots with all these different colors or whatever. People could have seen right there, went up there every morning, got their food, grounded up there for fruits and the stuff that they gonna cook, their sour sap, and all this other stuff. But instead, I come here and scrub floors or clean toilets or change old men fucking diapers and shit, whatever. That's what they rather come here and do. They come here and put their soul in bondage and sign contracts to make you a fucking one-man corporation. And you're a one-man corporation. That's what you are. And you see the people who founded it. Okay? The people who founded it. Now we're gonna get further into this shit now. All right? Now listen. Now, we already connected the KKK to the Knights of Golden Circle. It's telling you all of the prominent people who's in the Knights of Golden Circle basically was connected to holding Indians in bondage, because the Indians that they was holding in bondage was the Indians that was refusing them expansion. You know what I'm saying? Now, real quick, let me take it off that term real quick. Let me just show y'all something else, just for people who don't truly understand. Because remember, the Cherokee sided with the British. They didn't side with the Americans. So why Americans turned? Because what they did was, when they knew that they were siding with the British, all they did was, look, hold up. Let me show you something. I be hating some of these articles, because when I try to go to some of these articles, all right, so you got some Cherokee wars right here. So let's see what was the reason for the Cherokee wars. Let's see, were these Cherokees friends with the white colonists? Come on, computer, what the fuck? And it was funny too. You know, I don't know what's really going on with that Nipsey Hussle thing, whatever, but a lot of people thought Nipsey Hussle was a black American. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, no matter what he is, if it happened the way it happened, I feel, you know what I'm saying? My condolences go out to moms and go out to his family and everybody. But if it was really some bullshit, then it's a whole totally different thing, man. But I can't really see how it is bullshit, because, I mean, most of the shit that I hear him talking is about unity, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like I said, man, you know, you gotta really Look to it. All these people have an agenda. All of them. So we don't even really know. So we're going to let's read a bit of this real quick. Cherokee Wars, 1776. Now, why is the Cherokee Wars around the same time as the formation of the Americas? Why is that? The Cherokee Indians had generally been friendly with the British in America since the early 1700s. Okay, siding with them against and the French Indian Wars. Colonial encroachment by settlers provoked them into the war with South Carolina in 1759 1761. The land secession that fueled resentment that came to a head with the outbreak of the American Revolution. I was telling you, land secession, all right? Now, saying ruthless because of the continuing encroachment of their land by colonists, okay? So it's telling you, now all of these colonists will be part of the formation. All right, so now saying origin and supplied with ammunition by the British agent, okay? It's saying and incited by the Shawnee and other northern Indians, the Cherokee sided with the British on the Revolutionary War. Cherokee raised protected treaty settlements in summer of 1776, incited militias from Virginia and Carolina and Georgia to respond in kind, lacking and anticipated support from the Creek Indians and the British. The Cherokee was decisively defeated. Was plundered and burned. What you think happened? Hold up. All right, so look. So check this out. Listen. Okay, they're telling you the Cherokee Indians own slave, right? But you confused because the Cherokees that they telling you that own slaves are motherfuckers that look like this. Oh, I come with receipts and shit. Oh, we get drilled down into the grimy and the grimy of this shit. Okay, we get down to the greasy and grimy. See right there when they fighting the Cherokee initially was fighting the motherfucking. The Cherokee initially was fighting against the Europeans, and they were siding with the British. So what you think happened when the Americans won war over the Cherokees? What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Yeah, well, what the fuck you think happened when they won the war? Now look at this, all right? Now, well, that's some Cherokee Confederates. This is another image of Cherokee right there. But these are the Cherokees that basically enslaved you, okay? These motherfuckers right here. Sandy Whitey, the main nigga they talking about in that shit right here. Sandy Whitey. This motherfucker here. All right, so him, Brinkley, all these people are prominent role leaders in all this shit, man. Let's see if I can find. And they show you all them Confederates. Let me see. I think, like I said, that was this one. Let me see this. Now look, there you go, black Confederates, right? Remember, the Confederates were supposed to be pro-slavery. All right, now let's take a look at these guys. They're black Confederates. Let's view some more. All right, so these are bands of Negroes in 1661. Boom. So now remember, when they tell you glory, right? I think in glory, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think Morgan Freeman and them was fighting with the Confederates. Okay, I think they also was free, or easy, because I know that the North soldiers was free too. The North soldiers were supposed to be free. Okay, so if they came from the North, they would be free too. But I think that they was free. They was fighting for the Confederates because they had these type of hats on. I don't think the North had them type of hats on. They had a different uniform on. I think. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not the almanac when it comes to this right here. Let me click on this real quick right here. But we're gonna get back into it though. It's only 11 o'clock. I'm almost done with that article. So see, look, see these motherfuckers right here. It's right here. See, Confederate. Now look, you see a black, you see a Negro right here. That's a Negro. Out of all of them, let me see if there's any more Negro. I don't see no more. See something. That's that one. And you see how the flag look, right? Now, I don't know exactly what flag that is, but that's some research that somebody else can probably do. Let's see this. They got a Confederate flag right here. Look, you see blacks. Look, these are Indians that's siding with these motherfuckers who probably got white wives too. Look at these niggas. Fucking Uncle Ruckus and Uncle Tom him motherfucking self. Let's see. All right, let me see something. So, all right, so they trying to show you can. All right, so these are black Confederate soldiers. And the books, Black Confederacy. Now they trying to say this is false evidence. I mean, that's gonna have to take some more research to really break a lot of this shit down. But for the most part, just to really bring light to some of this stuff, and you can do your own research from there. Because I showed you what the motherfucking Buffalo Soldiers look like. I mean, well, not but the Seminoles. How all the fucking Seminole soldiers, black Seminoles, ain't none of the Seminoles mixed with none of the Indians. So all of the black Seminoles had black women with them. Because if they escaped, if it was all black men escaped and they escaped into Indian territory, then what the fuck did the Indians look like that they mixed with? Because all these motherfuckers still look black to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they didn't say women escaped with them because I mean, you have to really look at that too, man. They wasn't taking women and children along with raid or these when they escaping like that because babies cry and shit like that, and that would be a risk. So they wasn't taking baby stuff like that along when motherfuckers was runaways. It was mostly men, mostly males. It might have been a few women that was down, that was really rolling, but for the most part, it was men. All right, so we back to this right here, right? But hold up, real quick. I just want to just make sure I made my point with what we were talking about the Cherokees, just to let you know. So it's telling you what was the main reason. The main reason was land secessions. Okay, it has something to do with land. All right, that the war that basically fueled war. All right, so now it's saying restless became. I mean, because of the continued encroachment of their land by colonists, encouraged by supplies with ammunition by the British agents and Shawnee and other northern Indians, the Cherokee sided with the British during the Revolution. During the Revolution, it said Cherokee raids against the Patriots settlements in the summer of 1776 incited militias from. So now look, so when they raided these people, militias from Virginia, Carolina, and Georgia come, okay, and the Cherokee didn't have no back, so it said land Indians and the British. Okay, so they sold them out. Well, I don't know if they sold them out, but they didn't come. So these words decisively defeated, their town plundered and burnt. Several hundred Cherokees fled to British protection in Florida. But now remember, they said the Spanish was in Florida, okay? Cherokee leaders sued for peace with revolutionary leaders in July 1777. So now look, it said they sued for peace, right? So these are the motherfuckers who basically probably agreed and let them come on to the Cherokee tribe, everything, while dragon canoe and them continued to fight. I'm saying that's when the dragon canoe, that's why he was mad, because they sued for peace. Remember, after the Cherokee War, they sued for peace, and dragon canoe got mad at the Cherokee leaders because they was trying to, because they was siding with the motherfucking Europeans. All right, let me see something. If it is, I think it's a little bit more to this, because that started the Chickamauga. Let me see something. All right, saying, look, the Cherokee War on the colonial side was a revolt. A revolt. Now look, the war saying the Cherokee. Listen, they telling you the Cherokee War on the colonial side was a revolt against the idea of the Cherokees as the key to westward expansion and the response to Carolinians' own weak place within the empire. For the Cherokees, the scorched earth campaign and disease besieged their economy, destabilized convention into tribal politics, and split their towns. The Indian Wars, etc. See, remember, you got all these wars. Look at all these wars that's going on around the Revolutionary War. You know what I'm saying? You have to be smart with this shit. Look at all these motherfucking wars that's going on all at the same freaking time. You understand? So you got an Indian war going on, you got a Cherokee war going on. Why they warm? Because they warm because the land. They revolting against westward expansion, and land secessions. All right. So it's saying the Cherokee War. No, it's saying that the Cherokee War and its decade marked a removal of Cherokees from a pivot, a pivot of regional geopolitical and the beginnings of a area era of change for both people. All right. So what you think? Fuck you think that means? Change for both people. That means to basically assimilate and bring these white people into the tribes. That's basically just going to take control of it, so they will never do what they did again. And that's pretty much what they did. After that, after the Cherokee War, because the Cherokee sided with the British. So after they lost to the Americans, they was at they had no choice but to assimilate because they lost. So this is when you start getting these treaties, and this is why Dragon Canoe was mad at these three chiefs or these so-called chiefs, and they basically fought with the Americans against the Chickamaugas, the other Cherokee. So now when they try to tell you that the Cherokees had slaves, what happened to the slaves from the original Cherokee tribe that y'all was warring against? Because I'm quite sure you took a lot of them people in slavery. They had to take a lot of people that they captured. Yeah, they said that some of them went into Florida, which came back as the Seminoles. Okay, he said the other ones went further, what, south, like the Tennessee, or further southwest, like Tennessee, whatever. Because that's where I believe that war that was dealing with Dragon Canoe and all of them was at, in the Tennessee or like the Carolina. Well, I guess all of that. I don't know what it was called at that time, but it was in that area. All right, so let's continue. All right, so now look, it say the beginnings of the KK was fairly, I can't pronounce that, especially when compared to what the organization became. The exact date of the group was founded is unclear. Like much about its beginnings, but it probably occurred during the summer. Listen, look. It probably occurred during the summer of 1866. Why the fuck is all this shit happening 1866? Andrew Jackson is doing a veto to the so-called Civil Rights Act or whatever. You know, you had this other treaty, the 1866 treaty, I guess, was a Civil Rights Act, which they just disguising it. They disguising it because they don't want you really to look up and see that a lot of this was dealing with the Freemans and all this type of stuff, though. But for the most part, why was the KKK established in 1866? Because I mean, we're gonna get into it though. I'm saying probably in 1866, the summer. The tradition holds that the group was founded in Pulaski, Tennessee, with the organizational meeting taking place in the law office of Judge Thomas M. Jones, whose son was one of the 6 young Confederate veteran founders. Those early members later maintained they started the group out of boredom. It's saying after returning to a small town of Pulaski after the war, and that playing pranks on one another was more the order of for those days. You hear this shit? So that's a prank. A motherfucker burning cross from fucking on what's name. Look, it said the name from combining the Greek kalos, meaning circle or band. Now look, circle or band. Okay, what is this? The Knights of the Golden Circle. Same thing. It's saying with clan as clan, with a name borrowed from its classic and ritual and designation officers, Grand Cyclops, Grand Magi, and the likes, derived from a collegiate fraternity and groups, trace its origins to more affluent members of Southern society. But within a year, what started as a small town social club had become a vigilant outfit. Polanski was in the midst of a crime wave, mainly property crimes like burglary and robbery that white citizens attributed to freemen. KKK members began to use intimidation to disarm freemen. It's saying downing costumes and invading black homes at night. Okay, it's saying the movement snowballed from there to the point where even founders was alarmed. Anonymous letters purporting to be formed one of the original 6 opened in May of 1868 in Pulaski citizens that. All right, now remember, the birth of a nation, they showed that in the White House. All right, they showed Birth of a Nation in the White House. I don't know if people remember that, but that was one of the first movies that was showed in the White House. All right, but now you know why. All of them motherfuckers are all Freemasons. All of these people are all in the same predominant Mason tree. All of them. All the shit. All of it. So, saying, hold up, sorry about that, y'all. All right. It is to be laminated that the simple object of the original Ku Klux should be so perverted as to become political and pernicious. In its demonstration, it has become a regular organization with a or a lynch law attribution. Then better the Ku Klux have never been heard of. And sooner such organization is dissolved, the better for the country at large, especially for the South. But it was too late. By the late 1867, Southern anger, frustration at Reconstruction measure, royal, I guess that royal, particularly over the disenfranchisement of the former Confederate, while freemen can now vote and subsequently affect on local, state, and national congressional, it's saying election, it's saying resentment fueled a shadow war against what a Louisiana newspaper called the Northern emissaries of advanced political ideas that meant all Northerners and their perceived cohorts, black voters. It's saying earlier efforts have made to encourage black voters to vote Democratic. Now look, look at this shit right here. Look. They telling you right here. Okay, now look, they're saying earlier efforts have been made to encourage black voters to vote Democrat, included in issuing handsome certificates to those who vote Democrat, tickets or protection papers. In some parts of the South, the white landlords and employees wielded syndicate economy clout through firing and eviction. It's saying, but these more peaceful, albeit means were now in large part over. It's saying the Klan became, in effect, a terrorist arm of the party, whether the party leader as the whole liked it or not. Allen W. Treatise noted in his book 1979, White Terror, the Ku Klux Klan conspiracy, and Southern Reconstruction. It is not clear what more moderate Southern thoughts as the Klan membership spread across the South, and truly horrifying stories of outrage, beating, lynches, assassination, rape, and destruction of property. Now, who do you think all that shit occurred to? Are you motherfuckers, are you niggas now understanding what the fuck all this shit was about, y'all? I'm telling you, all this shit is connected. All of it. All of it's connected. Okay? Do you understand who the Knights of the Golden Circle became after we won the so-called Indian War? Because we had to win for them to agree to our terms. And then what happened was when they agreed to our they killed Lincoln, in which it was all conspiracy, which Andrew Jack Johnson and Malcolm Boots was friends. The secret society paid him to kill Lincoln because he basically helped us get fucking terms, and because remember he was going to give us he was going to give us a what's the name, a mule. He was going to give us a mule, and later he was going to give us a plow. But Andrew Johnson went back, took the land back from us. Okay, why you think he took the land back? Because he was connected. He was connected to the fucking KKK, which he know in this. If the KKK was formed in 1866 and the Knights of Gold Circle was still around, who you think is the members that formed? Just another society of some peon or some small budget white guys that just started this shit? Even though he said it started as a prank, no, it was basically built to chase blacks off of their land. And it's telling what it's for. It said, look, hold on, let me move it up a little. White terror, okay? Now look, that all came from the Knights of the Golden Circle, which all had something to do with the Civil War. So even after the Civil War, it was organizations formed that basically created these disenfranchisements of you, your land, everything, and made life hard for you any which way. So people talk about these studies, dealing with reparations and everything. There is no study. See the studies that people going to deny is people who was basically oppressing you was the fucking government. They going to deny that. See, they don't want to talk about that. They try to make it seem like, oh well, people didn't. They want to try to make it seem like the people who did this was just all fault. No, it was fucking presidents. that had shit to do with this, and they telling you it was presidents, but yet gonna try to make it seem like none of these people had anything to do with it. Okay, they formed this shit after after we won the Civil War, and they gave us rights. They were scared to death that we was gonna fucking have shit, and then they started creating these organizations to basically terrorize you and scare you, and basically they created other. Lord, it's all after you understand this shit right here. It's all understandable from this point on. I don't even need to finish this shit, but I'm gonna finish it. All right, check it out. Now look, remember. All right, so it said it is not clear what more moderate Southern thought as the Klan membership spread across the South. The truly horrifying is like some shit you hear about Jason or some fucking like some real horrific shit. Okay, people reserve that word for the worst. Okay, some horrifying. So you had people who was judges and cops and sheriffs and lawyers and just the regular good old boys that came here to have a better life, or some of your co-workers who tell you, oh, well, I ain't have nothing to do with slavery. I ain't have nothing. So your grandfather wasn't part of that 5,000 lynch mob that marched down to that town and destroyed that town. Your grandfather ain't had nothing to do with that, right? Okay, well, somebody grandfather had something to do with that. Somebody grandfather. So it's all systematic. It's all a system. And understand this. And then if these and now they try to make it seem like the KKK is like some type of clown group or whatever. But understand the Freemasons and shit still run a lot of the black Corkers and all these other motherfuckers who Masons, they're control. So it's never good when a nigga tell you he's a Mason that's in political politics, that's basically trying to fight or trying to give you anything, because the people he get his motherfucking, that he get his dues and his don'ts from pay him. They pay him good, man. He get women, he probably get free drugs, probably got a motherfucking, I don't know, whatever automobile vehicle he choose to navigate in. You know what I'm saying? Probably got a nice house. He's a fucking sellout. And he can't look himself in the mirror. So these are people when they tell you that don't have mirror in their house, because they can't look themselves in the mirror. You understand what I'm saying? They can't look themselves in the mirror because they know what they doing to their people. But like I said, you have this shit all through. Any time these are the same Indians that sold you out to help these people, in which they told them, well, we're gonna hit you off, man. If you keep doing what you're doing, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna hit you off or whatever. And a lot of these people was people who had money in the early 1900s, man. All you got to do is follow the lead, follow the trail. What blacks was rich back in the 1900s. It wasn't because that they was rich on their own. It was because these people allowed. Because remember, these people forming a KKK, chasing you off your land, and you still in the South and you living rich and everything because somebody told them not to fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what it was. See, these people was conniving. They would do shit just cause. It wasn't like, oh yeah, you can trust them. Or best believe at nighttime they would come and coach on your land. You understand? And they still wasn't coaching on your land even after the Civil War with the KKK. Okay? So, all right. So it's saying where approval and silence or fear of violence, retaliation towards themselves and their family, meaning other white people who seen this shit, who knew what was going on. Hey, and they probably pulled, you know how they doing a movie. They show, hey, Tom, you got a beautiful wife and everything. Hey, I hate to see something happen to them. The same fucking shit. But he living this every day. He got to go to work every day. There's no way out for him except just to keep on doing fuckery, to keep turning his head until he still sawed off shotgun in his mouth and leave a note and take himself out of this existence. All right, so it's saying the members involved either in Klan membership or those harmed by its violence are impossible to determine, although many historians have suggested the actual members of death and injury are many times greater than the thousands known. The Klan was never a central organization, and the Klan dens reflect their local. It's in some areas where more violent than others. The makeup also involved from those first upper class educators founded to a wider swath of white, let's say a white populace ranging from disgruntled lower class white farmers and working men to disaffected Confederate to people holding privilege, grudges, and old animosity. Above all, members were united in a abiding belief in the supremacy of the white race. Okay, so listen, I mean, listen, this is what the shit was formed for. If you do any observation, you will see this is the duties that it was carrying out through lynchings, through beatings, through assassinations, through them being labeled horrifying, and it tells you what was it built for, what was the Knights of the Golden Rule built for, so Indians would not get back any power. Okay, that's the reason why they put white people in charge, and all of these same white chiefs are connected all to do this shit. It ain't nothing but a fucking circle. They're all connected. They're all connected. Wasn't they directly in the KKK and they wearing the hood? They got some part that they plan is to basically keep the people in and keep people out. Okay, so it's the same shit, bro. Even with these so-called Indian tribes, bro, it's the same shit. You see, I mean, you see who involved in it. All right, you see who involved in it. All right, so so it says all above members were united. So now look at the all above members who united, right? All for one common cause. All right. So one more time. Let's read this one more time because this is going to tell you how all people came together for one common cause. All right. It said the Klan was never a centralized organization. The Klan dens reflect their locals. Some areas was more violence than others. The makeup was also involved those first upper class educated founders to a wider swath of the white populace, ranging from disgruntled lower class white farmers, saying disgruntled lower class white farmers who was involved in this, working men to disaffected Confederates, to people holding private grudges. Now they saying people who also was in the Klan was people who held private grudges, bro. Cut your nuts off and put it in a jar. Like, what's more of a grudge than that? Old animosities. Cut your nuts off and put it in a jar. Old animosities. All above members were united like 1776 in abiding belief in the supremacy of the white race and the desire to rid northern invaders, especially Republicans. Okay, so why the South didn't like Republicans? Because they was Democratic, Democrats, in which they are still. Remember, who did Hillary Clinton tell you her mentor was? The Grand Wizard Cyclops, Marvin Singer, all, and then people sit up, yo. How can I say you can back for that? You stupid motherfuckers run around here, you lack of knowledge, and then you come and try to coerce other people to you know what I'm saying, to get into your fuckery. Like nigga other like let's say for example, boom, you at work, right? Now you know you an Aborigine, but at work you gotta wear a chicken suit. You gotta wear a chicken suit and hold a sign outside and shit, and yell crock-a-doodle or some shit like that. And let's say the worker next to you is a fucking rooster with a sign and shit, but he happened to be a white dude, right? And he always talk to you about Hillary Clinton and voting and shit. And one day you want to tell him, listen, I don't believe in this shit, bro. All this shit is a forest. The Republican and Democrat are two wings on the same bird, okay, which both all had the same freaking agenda, okay? But nonetheless, for some reason, they always try to get you to vote. I think they try to get you to vote Democrat, right? As a smack in your fucking face, because the Democrats, they're more deceiving than some of the Republicans. And I believe they're more deceiving. The Republicans are more straightforward. The Democrats always got some secret agenda to where they can overthrow the House or whatever. And you know what I'm saying? They always got some secret agenda. Then they're going to try to act like they care. But what's going to happen is when you bring all these people, where are all these jobs going to go? And what Negroes need to start doing, you niggas need to start enforcing these motherfucking laws that got for you. The Fair Housing Act. If you go to any facility and they deny you fucking a facility in that place, you need to enforce the Fair Housing Act on them. And you need to force the Employment Equal Opportunity Act or whatever. The EECA, I think it's the EECA, but I think it's Title 7. I think it's Title 7. Title 7 is the Civil Rights Act. Okay, I think it's Title 7, right? You can really enforce this shit, y'all. Word is bond. Look, I'll tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you some real shit, all right? I was working for Uber, right? And what happened was I was driving for Uber. I had like almost 3,500 trips. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I hated Uber because it was like I was just riding people around in my car for peanuts, man. And you know, you to have a new car and be people around is really not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers bossing you around in your own vehicle, that shit sometimes can be very overwhelming. And then being as though you're not getting paid shit to really do it too, you know, that can also be a problem. But nonetheless, I hated that shit though. But I did it because I was on disability. I needed money. I had to pay my bills and shit, right? So one day, you know, I went to my app. My app was disabled. So I went down to the Uber and I'm asking like, yo, what the fuck is up? Why the fuck I can't my app, what's up my app? They said, well, you need to check it because they just did background checks. Now I passed the initial background checks, everything. I passed everything, right? But what had happened was New Jersey had made a law in which they basically said that no one with any criminal background, meaning if you had any violent crimes, any sexual assault, any CDS, controlled dangerous substance, which they're pertaining to me, what else? It was if you had any DWIs as well, then you cannot drive any like Uber or they call that share ride or whatever whatever the fuck they call that shit. You cannot participate in that. That means Uber or Lyft, right? In New Jersey, I can go to probably Pennsylvania or New York and do it, but in New York is even worse because you need a fucking medallion, so you have to pay them to get a fuck. New York is the worst. I swear, New York is the fucking worst. And you know, that's the reason why they send most of the immigrants to New York. Because they know they can use them motherfuckers for free labor and you know, I'm telling you, wow, New York is fucked up, bro. You know how much it costs to live in New York? If to be an immigrant that comes straight from a third world country and live in New York, you know how much it's going to take, how much it costs to pay for them little ass apartments. And New York is hot, period. It's hot, period. Everything is hot. Everything, cigarettes. Well, I ain't gonna just say cigarettes, but food, parking. You cannot park on the streets. If you park on the streets, it costs $5 a fucking hour to park. Well, no. I think it's $5 a fucking hour, to park on the street, man. $5 an hour. Ain't no quarter, ain't no dollar. That shit $5 a fucking hour. Most people when they go to New York gotta park in parking garages, yo, and you gotta pay them. You might have to pay them like $50 for 3 hours. So any which way you doing, you get fucked. You know what I'm saying? That's why I used to love going to New York back in the day. I don't even go to New York no more for nothing. Sometimes I go over there and I might eat like at BBQs. I might take my girl over there. We might go to BBQs or if the Bronx Zoo or some shit like that. Or I'm going to the auto show next week or whatever. But for the most part, I used to love going to New York. I used to stay in New York. And real quick before we get back into it, one of my favorite routes I used to take, like when I used to smoke weed, we used to take 125, get out 125, go buy some kicks. But I used to always go on 145th and buy. I used to have exclusive shit though, but I go on 125th, stop through, look at going Jimmy Jazz or go in one of the sneaker stores, go buy some shit, or go on the side, like, I'm talking about this is before like I used to fuck with Starnetta and them. But when I got knowledgeable, I used to stop over there and see Starnetta and them. But prior to that, I go all the way down 125th, and then we'd go, like, it used to be a park on Madison. It's a park on Madison, right? And we used to sit in the park sometimes, smoke, jump back in the car, then we'd rock, we'd go down Park Avenue. We'd take Park Avenue all the way down to like 30 to like the Holland Tunnel, and then we'd come home. I used to do that shit all the time. Or if I was on the train, I'd jump, I'd take the 34th or take the plane to a Trade Center or Mass Square Garden, and I get out and I go uptown, and then I come back, I take a cab to 125, and then I jump on the A train from 125, 34th, no, 42nd Street or whatever, and then I take the bus back or whatever. So I have a lot of routes I used to take, but just to let you know, I used to love going to New York. And no bullshit, I hate going. Now I look at it, I hate going to New York now. But let's continue with it, all right? So we talking about the KKK. We talking about how it formed out of the Knights of the Golden Circle. We talking about how the Knights of the Golden Circle was all up in the Cherokees, and they was controlling Cherokees. Most of the prominent members of the Cherokees was Knights of the Golden Circle, which would lead me to think that they was also Ku Klux Klan members as well. You understand what I'm saying? Because they took over these tribes because of the amalgamation that took place. And because of the amalgamation, they started forming these white societies. And that's when these get in all of these so-called society. And like I said, the Knights of the Golden Circle was basically to enslave people from Mexico, South America, Cuba, and the Caribbean. And they ain't mentioned nothing about no Africa because they didn't need to mention. They can enslave people of the land just like they do now. They start here. You got a community of Indians. They come here. They want the land. They come here. They want the land. So they try to create different disruptions among people to where they can divide us, and then they could come in, swoop, and take the land, and then they can start building shit on it, and then use you for the fucking labor or whatever. And then the sellouts that sells you out, they get these prominent positions to mislead you and tell you bullshit and keep your ass, to keep you blind and keep, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they do. And that's the pretty much what we lead into now. All right, so I got a little bit more to read on this. Let me see something real quick. Let me see how much more I got to read. That's a lot. I know it's not. Oh, let's get with this shit. It's only a little bit. All right. All right. All right, we right here, boom. Let's read. Let's rock through this real quick. And I'm going to read a little bit of the what's name. You're going to see how this shit is all connected. All right. So, many sources say former Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest became the KKK Grand Wizard in 1867. Remember, that's 1 year. Remember, all of these secret societies was formed because of these treaties for the Negroes and the rights because of the Negroes. Because these same Negroes prior to that was in bondage because they was either fighting to uphold their land, and now they're set free, and these Europeans are worried about it. Okay, so now, all right, so Nathan Bedford was a founding Grand Wizard in 1867. It's saying, but when he testified to Congress about the Klan in 1870, at best minimized his involvement or at worst denied membership, though others reported seeing him in 1867 old Klan regalia, night riding to scare off potential Republican voters. Okay, he aimed, however, the Klan aim was non-violent and merely more political, aim to protecting the Southern white society. Now, so look, see how he minimized that. This is how you can talk to other white people. So, okay, so if you can't minimize white society by being non-violent, what are your steps? And are you gonna resort to using violence? You know, say, come on, man, think about that, okay? I mean, we ain't fucking stupid. Say it was aimed at Southern white society, meaning white settlers that came and moved on other people's land. Now they have to form these societies to maintain the land, okay? And this is pretty much what's going on right now. As we talking, all these societies, and they got sub-societies. The alphabet groups, the FBI, the CIA, and all this other shit is subgroups of these secret societies that's being controlled by basically these Freemasons that control this fucking world. And like I said, this is weight shit. You know, I mean, like, I don't know what you guys be wanting. What do you want? You want me to tell you guys a bedtime story? What the fuck do you want? Like I done showed you the fucking chinchilla mummies. Talk about the pyramids over here being old. We done did all types of intensive research on Americas, Columbus, 1492, 1619, all the wars. We getting into after the Emancipation Proclamation, starting to find out that the Civil War was really the Cherokee War. Most of the blacks I'm interviewing are fucking Cherokee, okay? And it's not by coincidence neither. I'm gonna say this again. Most of the blacks that interview tell me that are Tsauge Indians, okay? All of them, most of them. I mean, shit. And you starting to see that all these tribes was one tribe, man. Well, not one tribe, just different tribes in different areas that had different names. They was using that other tribes to cross them, man. When they was giving them other Indian guns, and them Indians was coming in, they was like, remember me, nigga? On that type of shit. And like he said, in this type of shit, some of it was because of envy. They was envious over you, all right? So let's finish this up. Now check this out. We seeing how deep this fucking influence go, all right? So it's saying that basically the Klan was created protecting Southern white society and called loyal leagues member clubs dedicated to the Union radical reconstruction policies of the Republican Party. The subjugation of blacks in the South was presumably incidental to the view. This is what he's saying, is exaggeration of the lie. Okay. After General Ulysses Grant decisively won the presidential election of 1868, the first in which African Americans could participate, the Klan activity began to decline. The then disband. Even Forrest called the dissolving of the Klan, claiming in 1869 that it was being perverted from its origin honorable and patriotic purposes, becoming injurious instead of subservient to the public peace. All right, let's continue. It's saying, though it died out later in Reconstruction, the KKK has sent two resurgent periods in the United States history between 1920 and 1940 as a response to a large number of immigrants coming into the South and spreading through the West and Midwest, and again in the 1950s and 60s part, principally in the South during the Civil Rights Movement. Okay, the Knights of the White Camellia, founded in 1867 by Louisiana and former Confederate with the marvelous name of Maximilian, derived from the settlements. Similar KK devotion to white supremacy. It's saying opposition to Reconstruction policies. Its members, however, was drawn from higher societal classes, including doctors, lawyers, and professionals, as well as many public figures. The Knights of the White Camellia be considered sort of clan-like, operating mostly in the Deep South. The KKK members did not attempt to keep their membership secret, freely acknowledging participation, nor did they dress up as did the Klan, did employ rituals, oath, and and the likes, but use more conventional terms. Officers, commanders, lieutenants, commanders, secretaries, and treasurers, for example. You know what? Let me see something. You don't even need to go no further, but let me see something real quick. I'm gonna continue. I might as well just fucking finish this shit out. All right, so it said they might have been more numerous than the clans and was more comparatively less violent, though make no mistake, they did not hate to use beating or threats or physical harm, including death, and prevent freemen from voting Republican. All right. And so now look, see, it was beating, they was doing all this shit to stop you from voting Republican, okay? It's saying they were, however, considered too tame for some who left. The Knights of the White Camellia was also relatively short-lived, disbanding in 1869 after a Republican newspaper exposed its core secrets, including passwords, signals, and ritual. Some members joined the KKK or groups that developed later, such as the White League. So all of these shits is all for one reason. It's all for one reason. It's all one fucking common cause, man. That's it. Other societies were smaller and geographical specific, such as the Knights of the Rising Sun, Texas, the Knights of the White Carnations, and the Knights of the Black Cross in Alabama. The Young Men, the Democrat Club of Florida. The groups was more or less similar in goals, but the degree of violence used varied from group to group. Now they got that new group now. I can't think of the name of it. The Proud Boys. It's called the Proud Boys or whatever. But like I said, I mean, like, you know, it is what it is though. But they're gonna run up on on one black dude. They're gonna see one black. They ain't gonna go nowhere in the projects or nothing and take that shit towards no niggas who gonna beat their ass. They gonna see one black dude walking and shit, and then they gonna run up on him. They gonna go run up on no black kids on the corner or none of that other shit. They gonna always run up on one person to where they dominate and then do that shit, and then they gonna be victorious or whatever. But let them run up where they evenly matched or outmatched. Watch what happens. So reports of rampant murder and almost incomprehensive brutality by these secret societies horrified the rest of the country, resulting in another that was all on us. Result backlash, federal government moved to restrain them. A federal grand jury deemed the KKK a terrorist organization in 1870 and 1871. Now look, they deemed it a terror. Federal government deemed the KKK a terrorist organization in 1870, 1871, but they showed the birth of the nation after that in the fucking White House. All right, the federal Third Fourth Act, known as the Ku Klux Klan Act, exclusively outlawed such groups. Now, if they was outlawed, why they still existed? Why they was marching and shit? Why they still existed? They ain't take them down. Why they ain't dismember them like they did the so-called the Black Panthers? Because they was working with them. They all worked together. They just would sit there and say certain things about them, but the people who need to enforce them, they won't be enforced. So it's saying as a result, 9 South Carolina counties were placed under martial law, and thousands of arrests were made throughout the South. Now, this is in South Carolina, okay? The Supreme Court overruled the KKK Act in 1882, holding in the United States versus Harris that the law was unconstitutional. By that time, however, Reconstruction had ended under President Rufin for it said B. Haynes. It was popularly held, had gained to the presidency through the appeasement of the South by removing federal troops and disenfranchising blacks. The so-called corrupt bargain, also called a compromise of 1877, by then Americans were simply tired of the decade of long conflicts. All right. All right, so I say there is perhaps a tired truism about losing the battle by winning the war. So now all this shit is really because of the Civil War. Say while activities of secret society did not achieve the short-term goal of preventing Republican candidates from winning states and local offices in the years immediately after the war by stopping Black Americans or Aboriginal American voters from helping elections elect a Republican president in 1868. They did effectively shut African American, Black Americans, Aboriginal Americans out of full participant in elections for decades. The establishments and patterns in the South for repressing Black voters that continued through the Jim Crow years and civil rights battles in 1960. That's why these niggas give us our fucking bag. Us our shit, bro, because you owe us. You let these immigrants come here and they got full everything. They got full everything. They don't have nothing in their path. And they have a yes for everything. Us, doesn't work that way. All right. So let's go back to this. Go back to what we initially was reading. I had something else too I wanted to read. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This one. I think this one. I'm showing y'all the difference because you got to know what time did they start letting these Europeans into these tribes, man. Because originally, it wasn't no Europeans in no tribe. It wasn't no Europeans along in the tribe. So look, this was when I was telling you. So I'm gonna read through a little bit of this, just to give you further understanding of what we're talking about. About even, we didn't touch on Dragon Canoe before. But like I said, related to the book, and I just want to explain something to you guys real quick about, like, a lot of people we don't understand exactly how they did, why they did what they did, especially with the Cherokees, how they took over the Cherokees and how they civilized these so-called 5 civilized tribes. And like I said, in all these tribes, you see Europeans in the face of them. All right, and so this is one of the reasons. One of the reasons, like I said, it was after the Cherokee sided with the British, and after that, they made sure that they took control of these tribes, because I think the Cherokee tribe might have been too large, or might have been too many participants in the tribe to where they couldn't disband it. But they saved a lot of them. But now look, all right, so back to the Chickamauga and read a little bit of this. It's 11:55. I'm gonna rock all the way out to probably 12:30. So Dragon Canoe was one of the Cherokee tribe's most devoted chiefs, which I got a video about Dragon Canoe in its entirely, but I just wanted to just touch on some key points of this. All right, you know what? All right, fuck it, yeah. All right. His most devoted chiefs angrily opposed the terms of the deal with the Cherokee Nation, signed some of their valuable land to whites, and received little in return. Remember, he's saying he broke away from the Cherokees in 1776 because what happened? They lost in 1776, and they were signed and all that shit where they gave away the land. So it's a forming an aggressive wing of the tribe known as the Chickamauga Cherokee, aggressive. Okay, so it's a Dragon Canoe strongly recommended that the patriotic Cherokee part from the tribe. It's saying after the episode, they settled at a various place along the mainstream of the South as the Chickamauga Creek. Therefore, it was appropriate to call them Chickamaugians. So that's what I'm trying to say. So we called ourselves by where area or where we was from. All right. And understand that. So Dragon Canoe with the sons of the famous narrator Chief Atakalakula, I guess that's how you pronounce it. That looked like a Islamic name. It's saying for his headquarters, Dragon Canoe chose the site of the ancient Creek village and the Chickamauga near present-day eastern Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, I told you about Tennessee. Many of the well-known chiefs joined Chief Astenaka. They're saying being among them, the Indian had fought aside with George Washington on the Virginia frontier and knew him intimately. No, yeah, knew him intimately. That's what it's saying, intimately. It's saying he knew also our first president, but also men such as Thomas Jefferson and Patrick Henry. It's saying the Chickamauga feared the expansion of the United States. See, look, I'm telling you what the shit is about. Telling you what the shit is about. People be like, they be trying to like skip over certain things, but what was the Cherokees fighting against? Expansion of the United States. What did they sign over? They gave them expansion of the United States. What did Dragon Canoe didn't want? Expansion of the United States. It's a spelled doom for the Cherokees, and believed that by engaging in wars or protecting their territories the only way they could. After the American Revolution, the majority, now listen to this. This is how they became white. After the American Revolution, because they fought it with the British, they lost, and they had to either form treaties and be subjects to the fucking United States. So it's saying after the American Revolution, the majority of the Cherokees favored peace and agreed to give up all the land. Look, hold up. Look, listen to this. After the American Revolution, the majority of the Cherokee favored peace and agreed to give up all the land east of the Appalachian. So what happened to all them Cherokees that was living on all that land? What did they have to do? Oh, they became subjects. They started wearing clothes and started fucking working for these people, because if you give up your land, the food is on the land. So now you can no longer provide for yourself. Okay. So where was we at? Alright, so So there you go. It said they gave up the land east of the Appalachians. It's saying, but a small band of warriors called the Chickamauga were unwilling to accept the truce and moved their family northeast Alabama. Tukasi, who was younger than Dragon Canoe, had an Indian mother and and believed that the Creeks would help their Chickamauga brother in the north. He went south to see the Creeks, Chickamauga, Cherokees, and the Choctaw. It's saying he was there for 2 years. When he returned north, William Henry Harrison had burnt the peace town to the ground. Fighting continued on both sides until 1785, with the most stubborn resistance coming from recalcitrant group of Cherokees who ceded after the Carolina secession in 1777. They established themselves first on Chickamauga Creek and later on the lower Tennessee River. All right. It's saying the diehard became known as the Chickamauga and the five lower towns: Cherokee, Old South, Malone, whatever. I guess that's the page. I guess he got this out of a book. It's saying hence the political division between the Cherokee nations and the Chickamauga Indian occurred as a result of the Carolina land cessions. Okay, it's saying, and over concern of the Chickamauga was that the end of the Cherokee independence was coming. The split which occurred between now look the split. Now the other Cherokees went started being white, while these Cherokees continued their old ways. Okay, so the split which occurred between the Cherokee Nation and the Chickamauga was political and represented a fundamental shift in international policy. The Chickamauga favored continued conflict with the United States in attempt to maintain their land, based on independency, maintain their land based on independency. Whereas some influential elements of the Cherokee Nation Council took more conciliatory position. In fact, Chickamauga never laid their arms. In 1790, the Chickamauga fought General Harmon in the north, and less than a year later fought General Clare, saying they continued to fight into Alabama and Florida. At Fort Mims, 2,000 Chickamauga helped Chief Red Eagle take the fort, and after the fall of Horseshoe Bend, many moved to Florida. The United States government also recognized the Chickamauga as a separate political entity in the Treaty of 1817. It's saying, in which the pro-law stated the establishment of the division line between an upper and lower town. The Chickamauga people was historically known as the Lower Town Cherokees. The two main Chickamauga chiefs, Dragon Canoe, and the son of Atakalakula, Atakalakula, Atakal. That's how it's pronounced. Atakulakula. That's his name. That's his father's name. It's saying, and John Watts were relatives of the Cherokee Nation, principal to Chief Mortoy. It's saying, and hold up, man, my computer is not responding. Let me see something. Just hold up, my computer just slowed down for a second. Mic check. I believe we still not responding. Mic check. Okay, all right. So we still on. All right, mic check. All right, we good. All right. Oh, we back on. All right, my bad, y'all. All right, so basically, this is telling you a little bit about what happened during the Cherokee War, and when we get into this, you pretty much understand why what was going on. All right, so now look, now we're gonna get into this real quick. We'll read a little, do a little bit of this. Like I said, I'm probably gonna make a part two of this if I got the time. But I'm definitely going to like tell you the cross references. Now, look, the shadow of war, the shadow war, of war, right? So it say the half breeds belong to the Knights of the Golden Circle, a society whose sole object to increase and defend slavery. The full blood have not to be outdone. Got up a secret organization called the Pen. It's saying which meets among the mountains, connecting business with ball playing, and this is to be understood to be in favor of Lincoln. Okay, all right. So now we read a little bit of that. We touched on that the last time I was in here. It said the pressure upon Chief Ross and the Cherokee Nation was intense. His nation was splitting apart, just as was the larger United States. Moreover, not just the Cherokee, but all of the five nations was facing internal conflicts. The reflection of the impending crisis of the Ross, the support and conservative ally within the Kitawa society, was working within a political system to maintain the sovereignty of the Cherokee Nation, abide by their sacred treaties, and to establish position and neutrality North and the South. At the same time, the Kitawa Society was working within religious and congregation to build the beloved community. Preserve the religious tradition and promote the common welfare and provide provide for independence and sovereignty of Cherokee Nation. All right. So let me see something real quick. All right. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start from right there. No, well, hold on. Let me see something. Let me just make sure, because I know we last time we read through some of this, and I told you we was gonna start. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay. We didn't read this right here. All right. I see now where we stopped at. All right. So we're gonna start from right here. All right. So Knights of the Golden Circle also continue to mobilize and sought and destabilize the religious community that they perceive to be dominant by abolition enemies of the South. William, minister of Bushy Head, Bushy Headville. Wow, Bushy Headville. Bushy Headville Church at the Cherokee Mission reported that the slave-holding members of the community had withdrawn their support for the mission. There is a great reduction from former attendance, and this is to be counted for by the intense hostility to our mission on the part of the large pro-slavery party in the Cherokee Nation. See now, what is the Knights of the Golden Circle dealing with? The Cherokee Nation. It's controlling all of the major tribes, and all of the major tribes are all Masons, and they're all connected to this society. Okay, and like I said, even when you start talking about the American colonization society, it's part of white superiority and westward expansion, and they are also all connected. All of these motherfuckers is connected all the way up until right now. You got the what they got now, the 13 families, the Council 300. What's the other shit? Council Foreign Relations. All of that shit is just an expanded version of it. It's just an expanded version of it. It all has the same fucking still principle, no matter if now everybody is so-called into and they are what people call diversity. They're still diverse because they need slaves. Now they need slaves of different capacity. They got the field slave, they got the house slave. Now they got the computer slave, which is an Indian. Then they got the what they call that the manufacturer slave, which is the Chinese. No, trust and believe. Even though we think you think that fucking China controls shit or whatever, you understand these crackers ain't letting China. Even though that I've heard of the Black Dragon family or some dragon family over there that's supposed to be that has a lot of dough, yo. That has a lot of motherfucking dough, a lot of fucking dough. Okay, and they can pretty much do what the fuck they want to do. Even and they in Indonesia. They was in Indonesia, and I believe that I don't know. They, Obama got connections to Indonesia. They said his father was rich. They said his father left him billions of dollars or whatever. But yeah, it's all kind of interconnected with what the fuck is going on. All right, so boom. So let's continue. So slave owner community. It's in there is a great reduction in the attendance for hostility. They also talk about, let me see. That's a long ass sentence. Like a run-on sentence. That shit doesn't have no comma. It's saying there's a great reduction. Well, that's the quotation. There's a great reduction in former attendance, and this is to be counted for the intense hostility to all missions on the parts of the larger pro-slavery party in the Cherokee Nation, who has for more than the year past by means of press and continuously states that every possibility means to stigmatize our mission as a nest of abolitionists whose only business was to overthrow slavery in the country and make a second Kansas thereof. Uphand and Baptist minister and public school teacher has remained in the Cherokee Nation even after the flight of John Jones. It said Uphand was firmly opposed by the Golden Circle and sought to have him removed from his teaching position. Smith Christie, a leader of the Kitawa, reported that John Jones, a desperate effort made to pass a bill in the Cherokee Council for the removal of Evans Jones and William Upherd from the Cherokee Nation. However, a systematic effort has been made by the Kitawa to organize the political and to elect the representatives to the Cherokee Council. They were successful in gaining a large number of representatives in the lower house of council, but they were soon met with a strong opposition in every political election. Wherever a Baptist happens to be a candidate for office, the opposition as an abolitionist and sometimes successful opposed on the grounds only. See, they had a lot of shit going on. That's what I'm trying to see through these secret societies. They try to make it seem like these secret societies are just, they just harmless. They just boys clubs. These are the same boy clubs that run the fucking world. Okay, and then sometimes they gotta out their own people. You think that nigga Jeffrey Epstein that went to jail for raping them not raping them, or he just having sex with underage children, or I'm gonna say underage, underage adolescents. You want to say adolescents because they was 13 or 14 years, but all these niggas is part of these secret societies, man. And these niggas go to jail and go right out the back door most of the time. That nigga probably home. Cause the warden know his boy, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton make a phone call and tell them, nigga, yeah, man, release Jeffrey this weekend, man. Let Jeffrey out, man. Jeffrey go to, he probably get a private jet, fly from the prison. Nigga probably go. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, that's how these people maneuver. That's how they maneuver. All right. Now look, check this out. Now look, you see what now they say the upper house dominated by the Knights of the Golden Circle. The upper house, meaning that they are already dealing with politics, and these people are already in politics. All they're gonna do is change their name from the Knights of the Golden Circle to the Democrats. That's it. And the KKK to the Democrats. That's it. So it say the upper house dominated by the Knights of the Golden Circle continuously presented bills to remove the Baptist missionaries from the Cherokee Nation and to close down William Upham School. It's saying each time the effort of the Kitawati and Lower House prevented these bills from being passed. Now look, they have a society. Now look, this shit is in the Cherokee Nation. Look at how this shit is playing out. This shit is like the Republican and the Democrat. Look. So now you got the Kitawai in the lower house and the Knights of the Golden Circle in the upper house, okay? So the upper house, lower house, who have more people in which house would be the upper and the lower house, okay? Just like right now, the Republican, the Democrats will be considered the lower house. I think in the Senate, but I think they won in the other, I think in the House they won or something. I don't know how that shit played. I don't pay too much attention to that shit, but just from learning about it in school, I know they just won. I think they got the majority in the Senate. And then I think that the House is still controlled by the Republicans, though, or something like that. However, going to quote me on it. But it's something in that order, all right? But it's telling you right here. So the Kitawah had a lower house, and the Knights of the Golden Circle had the upper house. Now listen to this, right? So boom, boom, boom. Let's see. All right. So it says some bills even made it through both houses, only to be voted at the hands of the executive chief, the chief executive, John Ross. So John Ross was controlling it. So John Ross was like basically controlling all this. Meanwhile, the upper house and the lower. All right, okay, all right. So let me continue. Let me gain a better understanding. So, fractional dispute over slavery, which has in its root in a much deeper struggle in Cherokee Nation. Okay, it's saying have moved the forefront the political process. The struggle in the nation's council was were representative of a much more violent struggle to be carried out in other places in Cherokee Nation. In November 1860, a fourth day meeting led by Smith Christie at the, now listen to this, y'all. Listen to this shit, y'all. So the PV Church was attacked by what the younger Jones called an emissary of the Prince of Darkness. The forces attempt to break up the meeting. They came to the meeting in the evening and made a formidable demonstration. The Cherokee immediately gathered a strong force and arrested the whole gang and kept them under guard the whole night. This put an end to their enterprise and abolition hunting, but a man belonging to a party named Albert T. threw a paper of gunpowder into the fire at one of the camp. Fortunately, not one but was hurt. It's saying, may the Lord set down all opposed to his cause by converting the offending and changing them from enemies into friends of God's and truth. In early February, a plot to assassinate Evan Jones was launched within the Cherokee Nation as part of a larger plot to kill off several of the principal men of the nation. All this was, of course, in behalf on a peculiar institution. Once this was accomplished, the building of the mission premises were to be burnt. Okay, look, was to be burnt. The elder Jones taking the plot seriously, joined his sons in Kansas, where he spent much of his duration the next 5 years. In late February, William Upherd left the Cherokee Nation to escape apprehension and arrest by Southern troops for his position in the missionary to Cherokee. In February, a group of representatives from the state of Texas engaged in the diplomatic missions in the Indian Territory to explore settlements of the various Indian governments, okay, regarding a relationship with the Confederate state of America, okay. Now they saying various Indian governments with its relationships with Confederate States of America. After meeting John Ross, which you know he's a cracker, is saying they concluded that they did not recognize the Confederacy and would not be easily swayed, disliking his position to that a fellow Cherokee Freemason, Sam Houston. Look, hey, Sam Houston. Now what did we just read about? Who did we just read about in Texas? In the other article, we was talking about Sam Houston. Remember I told you he named Houston after him. See how all this shit is interconnected, but what they're not telling you is all connected to Indians. They're not telling you the Indian connection to all this shit. All right, Sam Houston to support the secession from the Union, and was eventually disposed from the governorship of Texas. The Texas delegation also considered Ross to be leader of the common Indians of the Cherokees, and undoubtedly under the influence of the abolitionists, even Jones, a northern missionary of education and ability, who has been among them for many years, and who said to exert no small influence. John Ross himself, the Texas delegation, placed their confidence in the progressive Cherokee, the intelligence of the nation, and said, in spite of their doubts about him and the common Indians, Chief Ross assured the delegates that if Virginia and the outer border states seceded from the government of the United States, his people would declare the Southern government that might be formed. In March 1861, Freemason. Okay, now look, you see how all these motherfuckers are Masons. All of them are Masons. Freemasons. Robert Toombs is saying the Secretary of State, Confederate State of America, set forth the resolution requesting a special agent for the Indian tribe west of the state of Arkansas. The next day, the government appointed Albert Pike, a Freemason, a member of the Democratic American Party, Know Nothings, a Confederate Commission of the Indian Nation. Later that month, the Confederate Congress created the Bureau of Indian Affairs under the aspects of the War Department. Okay, what did Dan Calloway talk about? The War Department. So they basically created the Confederate Congress, created the Bureaus of Indian Affairs under the aspects of the War Department, and appointed $100,000 for the activities of the department. Who you think that they put in there to work? Now look, Albert Pike was well known amongst the Five Nations. He had been legal counsel to the Choctaw. Now how the fuck you got a kid, the nigga who was in the Knights of the Golden Circle, who was in the KKK, how is he a legal counsel to the fucking Cherokees? Because all of these motherfuckers are white. They all trying to form this white supremacy at this point in time. It's saying in a successful effort to recover misappropriated federal funds. Okay. In addition to this, he was also the founder of the Southern jurisdiction of the ancient and accepted the Scottish rights. Okay, in spring of 1860, Albert Pike has raised Peter Pitchlynn, chief of the Choctaw. Now look, Chief of the Choctaws, Cherokee, Elias Boultonu, and Holmes Colbert. It's saying national security of the Chickasaw Nation. And to the third degree Scottish Rite. Truly, Pike Mason connections were critical factor in consolidating support among the five nations of the Confederate States of America. Now, listen, look, you hear that shit? You hear that? He's all up in there. And he created the KKK and everything. So in March 1861, the Secession Convention was held in Arkansas in a diplomatic maneuver to win favor among the Cherokee elite. Elias C. Bolton, a Cherokee resident of Little Rock, was appointed Secretary of Convention on May 6th. The convention passed the Arkansas audience of session. Shortly afterward, the party of Cherokee led by Standy Whitey. It's saying leader. Now look, it's saying the party of Cherokee led by Stan Whitey, leader of the Knights of the Golden Circle, met with Albert Pike and General Benjamin McCulloch. It's saying in order to ascertain whether the Confederate States will protect them. So the Knights of the Golden Circle is connected with Albert Pike, and the Cherokee and Stan Whitey and all these motherfuckers connected against Mr. Ross and the Penn Indians. Okay, they're trying to say that Mr. Ross will be a decent Indian, and he's working with the Penn Indians. Because remember, the Penns was a full blood, and the Knights of the Golden Circle was a half bloods. Okay. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Albert Pike had to be a half-blood. He had to be a mulatto, yo. He had to be. You can look at him and tell. You can look at the motherfucker and tell, yo. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, so it's saying Pike and McCulloch were both well aware of the conflict that existed within the Cherokee Nation. It appeared that there are two parties in the Cherokee Nation, one very much favor of joining the Southern Confederate, and it's in the other hesitant. It's saying and favors the idea of remaining neutral. These two parties are kept apart by bitter feuds of long standings, and it is possible that feelings of animosity may tempt one party to join the North. All right, it's saying should their forces march into Indian territory. Now listen, it's saying why are they marching into Indian territory? Why do the march? Why is the North marching into Indian territory? Okay, it's saying Pike urged Stan Whitey to assume responsibility for the destiny of the Cherokee Nation. However, he was not alone in his effort. The great secessionists from Arkansas had previously met with Whitey and informed him that 2,500 guns were being shipped to Arkansas. They assured him that a goodly number of these could be made available to protect the Confederate States of America and Indian Territory. All right. So Ike and McCall out in late May for the cottage of John Ross, hoping to win a Cherokee chief and his nation over Confederacy. If he did not see their point of view, they would inform Ross that there would be serious conflict for the Cherokee. Fully aware of the hostilities, they assisted within the Cherokee Nation. Pike proclaimed, if he refuses, he will learn that the country will be occupied, and I shall then negotiate with the leaders of the half-breeds who are now raising troops with the federal government, having abandoned all posts in Indian territory and refusing to make payments owed to Cherokees. Now look, saying make payments owed to Cherokees. This is what I heard Dane said something about the Civil War was labor dispute. All right, but just remember it was also about slavery too. All right, so payments owed to Cherokee. Ross was in a dire strait In spite of this, his outrage, I mean, his courageously, he courageously maintained a neutrality of the Cherokee Nation and stressed the precedence of the Cherokee treaties with the United States that forbade alliance with foreign governments. Chief Ross told the federal officers, "We do not wish our soil to become the battleground between the state and our home to be rendered desolate, miserable by the horrors of the Civil War." However, the Cherokee Nation was divided, and according to Albert Pike, the Cherokee people could not remain neutral. Elizabeth Watts, a former slave from the Cherokee Nation, described the state of the nation in 1861. Years passed, and the bad feelings between. Listen to this. Years passed, and the bad feelings between the two frictions seemed to get worse over the question of slavery. Ross opposed it. Samuel Whitey, relative of Bottineau, was for it. Okay, missionaries came along the Trail and opposed it. Some Indian agents were for it. The Indians did not want to fight. Now look, he's saying the Indians did not want to fight. It's saying many full bloods owned slaves, and they had a secret called the Kittiwah. Two common pins crossed on the coats of the emblems. Most of the full-blooded belonged and wanted to laws and customs. Most of them were the Ross fractions and opposed of slavery. Say those who endorsed slavery had was made up the half breeds. It's saying, and they owned most of the slave. It's saying about that time, the war breaker, a man named Albert Pike came. It came from Arkansas and wanted the Cherokees to join the Southern Army. It's saying lots of them joined and said, but Chief Ross never would do it and tried to keep all of them from it. It's saying, but the half breeds and some of the full breeds did it. Did it anyway. It said finally, Pike got the Cherokees to sign as a whole, promising them many things, but all of them didn't join the South, though a hasty treaty was made. All right. Now look, this is about to get deep right here when we get in the fire. I'm probably try to rock a page out of that, 2 pages. Just hold tight for a minute. Matter of fact, let me go get some water real quick and I'll be right back, you guys. Give me a couple seconds, all right? So I'm back. All right, let's finish this shit up, all right? All right. Let me look on the chat real quick. Appreciate everybody in the chat room. Appreciate everybody hit the like button. Get a chance. Like to support Culture Freedom Hating Cultures of America, Black Indians, please go to my PayPal or go to my Cash App. I can no longer take super chat because they disabled my monetary. They do that shit all the time. So, like I said, if you like to donate, go to my Cash App, go to my PayPal, or go cop yourself an Aborigine t-shirt, sweatshirt, or whatever. Like I said, when I get time, I will upgrade and put some different t-shirts up there. All right, so let's get back, man. Peace to everybody watching. We're talking about how masonry was heavy up in the Cherokee Nation, how a lot of this came out of the Chickamauga Cherokee War, which the so-called chiefs gave them the land and everything, and they basically submitted under them. And what they did was let the white people take control of these Cherokee tribes so they can control, because I think the Cherokee had a lot of land. Because if they gave them land east of the Appalachian, they probably wanted the rest of the land. All right. You see how Albert Pike is all up in this shit, right? Y'all, you guys, most of you guys ain't even know about this. And now you see why it's so hard for you to claim that you're an Indian without being an African. When we know that they was enslaving us, we know our ancestors went into Florida because they was being hunted down or whatever. We know Andrew Jackson hunted some more of our ancestors now. So we know. And I know you government agents on him, but we know, man. I mean, like, what's right is right, man. It's too late. I mean, like, we already know, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? We know what happened to us at this point in time. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue on learning. We're going to continue on learning our history. We're not going to focus our time on no fucking African shit because we're not Africans. We done learned enough of that history over there from that continent. We now have to deal with this history here in this continent. So with that being said, let me continue. So let me see something real quick. Give me a second. So it's in early June, John Ross again called for a council of the 5 nations to discuss the crisis and determine the best course for the Indians in the impeding struggle. The council held at Antelope Hill was composed of leaders of traditional communities, or as Albert Pike described it later, Northerners and other Indians. Pike also stated that he believed the purpose of the meeting to remain neutral or to take advantage of the war between the states. To form a great independency and Indian Confederation. Now, why is Albert Pike, who is a fucking Freemason, who basically created, and you guys already know Albert Pike is a motherfucking, he is not a outlaw, not no good guy throughout history and everything. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, why is he all up in Indian Confederation? And to form a great Indian Confederation, all right? Now look, though Pike was to crow about the Southern Indians and their solid support for the Confederacy. A different vision was beginning to spread within the Indian territory. All right. On May 1761, Chief John Ross. Now remember, all of this shit, all of this stuff is all dealing with all these prominent members that's in government, that's also that's dealing with these chiefdoms in these tribes, right? All of these shit, all this shit is predominant. It's all leading up, just like it led up in the Red Civil War. They telling you that how the fuck got 2 wars that's basically got the same, let's say, momentum, because you see that they going by timeline, going from 1861. It's telling you how this shit is momentum to start a war or whatever, and you got the same story what we hear, and we always hear that it was the released slave, and then this shit basically the Knights of the Golden Circle. They ain't just want to enslave the so-called Indians here. They wanted to go to the Caribbean. They wanted to go to South America. So we know that all of this was basically upon the same people. It was all upon the same people because look, if this was small, why are they talking about trying to go through South America and Cuba and these other so-called all other so-called islands and parts of America and enslave people there? Why they not talking about going to Africa and bringing people or any other type of shit? Because it's a fucking lie. All of the people that was enslaved was the people of this land, and all they did was just trade you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then take some of us over there and bring some of us back. But we can't vision that because we done been told history in reverse. All of this shit in reverse. But like I said, if you see this guy, he's a person of interest, and all these motherfuckers is somehow connected. All right, so look. So, all right, so it's saying during the May 16, 1861, Chief John Ross issued a statement regarding the neutrality of Cherokee Nation and the Civil War. It's saying, and improvise. Oh, so look at this shit. Syrian just went off for nothing, yo. You hear that shit? And improvised that the Cherokees wish to take no part in the present deplorable state of affairs. It's saying, and fervently hope that they should not be called upon participation in the threatened or fratricidal war. Saying following day, Stan Whitey was approached by Southern agents and encouraged to join in our efforts for mutual defense by forming a Cherokee militia unit. He was assured that they would be armed within weeks. Now listen to this, right? Listen to this, right? So I kind of see two things going on here, okay? I see the full bloods and you got the half bloods, okay? Now, I don't know, did they have some of their so-called full blood family members enslaved as well? I'm trying to really get an understanding of because there's so many things going on at one time. All right, so look. So, all right, Cherokee militia. He was assured that they would be armed within weeks. With this in mind, Whitey immediately contacted the Knights of the Golden Circle and began to organize his troops for the introduction into the Army of the Confederate States of America. Look, see? In early June, the Council of Great Nations met and attempted to resolve the issue. Now, look, he's saying the Council of Great Nations met and attempted to resolve the issue of I can't pronounce that right now. Allegiances, something. It's saying, and to determine the proper course for the people of Indian Territory. Present at the conference were Chief John Ross, the Cherokee Nation. Now remember, just because you got people in Indian Territory, you still had Indians in the South that didn't go on Indian Territory. So a lot of the Indians in the South that didn't go on Indian Territory was fighting with the North. Then someone was fighting with the South too. So whoever jurisdiction you was mainly up under, because you hear all of these motherfuckers is all president, all these motherfuckers are all down with the Constitution of keeping slavery. So you got the people in the South mainly had to fight with the Confederates because they were bound by them. Was in bound. They was you know what I'm saying? They was under the jurisdiction of them. They can't fight for the North because the North ain't. But that's why he sent the troops up here, according to what I'm starting to think of, what I'm starting to understand. So I'm gonna read this last page right here, and we're gonna and I'm gonna conclude it, and then I'll build the next time, and we'll finish it off. All right. But you see how all these moving parts. You see, I would probably, like I said, man, a lot of people they have no idea, bro. They have no idea. So all these Freemasonry systems was created to basically keep the South from the original Southerners, which was the Southeast Indians. Okay, so it's saying, and the ones that really oppose, because the Indians that's being held in bondage are ones opposing, and they're kind of reluctant what to do with them. Now, remember, it was a lot of people who were sent from after the Seminole War that was sent to Indian Territory too. A lot of them escaped. A lot of them lived among, just lived regular, went back and lived regular lives or whatever, or however they moved at that point in time. But like I said, like you see Freemasonry all up in these societies. It's a whole reason why you see a lot of these so-called that's white. That's why you see a lot of these so-called chicks that's white and on, and you know what I'm saying. The shit going on and on. All right, so I'm gonna read through this real quick, and we're gonna get through this. All right, so all right, so in early June, the Council of Great Nations attempted to resolve the allegiances, and determine the proper cause for the people of the Indian Territory. Present at the conference was Chief John Ross of Cherokee Nation, Chief John Jumper of Seminole Nation, Chief Peter Pinchland of the Choctaw Nation, and Chief Apoplo Yahola of the Creek Nation. Each of these men was Freemasons. Now look, each of these men was Freemasons. A central issue discussion at the council was a plan for establishment of great Indian independent Indian Confederacy. A new idea. It was remarkably reminiscent of the concept of the Confederation articulated by Freemason William Augustus Bow nearly a century earlier ago, as the leaders of the five nations met at Antelope Hill. Albert Pike and possibly brother J.S. Morrow hastily organized an alternative council at the Asbury Mission near the North Folk village in the Eufaula district of Creek Nation. Present at the meeting were Freemason Samuel Chico and George Sidham and Robert Jones, as well as a number of other wealthy and educated mixed bloods and Southern right sympathizers. In early July, Pike announced a treaty with the United Nations of Indian Territory signed by numerous progressives that granted the Grand Council the right to arm troops in order to repel the invading forces and abolitionist herds under Abraham Lincoln. On July 12, 1861, Stan Whitey was commissioned as the Colonel of the Confederate States of America, and his battalion was stationed near the Arkansas border, near Folk Village, the former Jerusalem and of Indian Territory, became the seat of this Grand Council, the center of the Confederate operation for the first 2 years of the war. During the critical period in the Cherokee history, the embers that had been smoldered on both sides were quickened by the wind of history, and flames erupted throughout the Cherokee Nation. Reverend Henry F. Buckner indicated the climate of increasing violence in Indian Territory when he described the murder of former Kiowa who had been defected to the Southern Baptist Church in valid and symbolic details. He described much more than the incident alone. All right, so they say, I think a party have learned that it would be their blood for them to shed minds. It's saying, help help keep my praise, help keep me, I'm sorry, help me to praise God for the preservation of my life. The native minister recently killed in the Cherokee Nation an offensive, and a penurious man was murdered, called out of his house at night and shot. He ran. They followed him and cut his throat. If If we were not mistaken, every man in Jones Church is more or less tinctured with abolitionist sentiment, and some of them, yeah, no, I'm saying a later majority are deep black in the warp of the stable African in the feeling. I don't know what the fuck that means. It's saying, for I heard one of his preachers, Abraham David, and all of the ancient warriors of the Old Testament. Look, all of the ancient warriors of the Old Testament being slaveholders. It's saying were here on earth. He could not fellowship with them. It's saying, now would you not think such a man as this was not an abolish of the deepest dot? That was deep. All right. So when I come back, we're gonna finish this, man. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this, man. So what page am I on? All right, 106. Like I said, man, closing, man, you see that, like, you already know what time it is, man. All of these motherfuckers is Freemasons. Even the so-called John Ross wasn't no fucking full-blood Indian. Okay, he was a white man too. But he just took the size of the full-blooded Indian. You understand what I'm saying? And history is probably hiding some of his devious you know what I'm saying, his devious shit that he done did to the Cherokee. Because they all did something. They just all, like, we gonna find something later on about what John Ross did or whatever. But for the most part, you see Albert Pike, Stan Whitey, all these mother Whitey, all these people are heavily involved in the so-called, like, you know what I'm saying, what's going on with us as so-called Indians. So with that being said, man, shout out to everybody in the chat room, shout out to everybody who came through his presentation. Appreciate you for coming through as always. Um yeah, for the most part, man. Definitely appreciate all the viewers, all subscribers. We now over 17,000 subscribers. And like I said, man, for those of you guys who would like to support, who have support thus far, um, definitely donate. Hit me, Cash App, PayPal, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Culture Freedom, Hitting Cultures of America, Black Indians. It was a brother I wanted to give a shout out to. It was two brothers actually that sent me a donation. I haven't got a chance. JJ sent me a donation. You know who you are. Let me see something. And hold up, let me see. Let me see. Oh, that was last month though. I didn't get a chance to. JJ sent something last month. Sent something this month. E ET, you know who you are. EP, you know who you are. LG. Well, that was back in February. I think I got her. Let me see. Somebody else sent me something yesterday. Let me see. I still be having a hard time trying to work Cash App. Let me see. Denise. Oh, Denise sent me something yesterday. Via Cash App. Thank you. Thank you for the donations. Like I said, thank everybody for the donations. I appreciate it. Let me see. Um, that's about it for now. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, thank everybody for who were able to send any donations in this time. I know exactly how, you know what I'm saying, how stipe shit is, man. We all got kids. We all got responsibilities. So, do what you can. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm still going to be here, still going to provide these videos for you guys. If you guys can support. If you can't, then, do what you need to do. Just keep getting this information because information is free. I'm saying this was never an effort to receive monetary. It was an effort to retrieve the minds of the so-called Indians of the Southeast and throughout the Americas and let them know that we was here already. So with that being said, shout out to everybody that came through. Shout out to everybody who was able to make it through it, through all the technical, plus the grammatical and literature errors that I make. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for standing with me. Thank you for watching the video. Like I said, y'all, you guys want to do some further research on it, man. Because a lot of this shit is connected, man. A lot of it, yo. People ain't even know about the Knights of Golden Circle when they came out of the Cherokee fucking nation. And you start seeing, like I said, you seeing a lot of this funny business going on. So with that being said, man, do your research, learn your history if you got the time, because your history is very imperative to your wherever you trying to get in life. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, man, peace to everybody. I'm out of here. Peace.